What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Breakdown Sportscast. I'm your good friend and host, Kory Willis. I hope everyone is doing well on a Monday. Hope you guys had a great time out with your friends. Just kind of, relax over the weekend. Next week, we are starting with week 0 of the college football season. So I hope everyone's, kind of gotten that summer vibe of, not really seeing many sports outside of Major League Baseball and, the Olympics and everything like that. So, we're here. We're about to head to week 0 of the college football season. So, hope everyone's been doing well and, getting excited for what's to come this year. As always, we appreciate you guys listening in on the show. You know where to find us. We're on many streaming platforms out there, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, and many other streaming platforms out there. So we very much appreciate you guys' support. Always feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the show because it helps us know what we're doing correctly, and it also helps us learn how we can improve the show for you guys in the future. So we very much appreciate you all's support. As always, you know who I'm with. I'm with my good friend and co-host. He is Chris Bolton. What's going on, Chris?
Man, what's going on, Kory? I'm feeling good. We are. It's time.
It's time.
It's time. Come this time next week, man. Football we've seen some games. Football will be underway officially, and I'm ready. I can't wait. So I'm trying to contain myself. It's low key. It's been a long wait, but man, the off season has low key flew by too. So I'm not complaining about that one bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's as we kind of talked about off the air. It seems like everything kind of flew by after the season. Just the off season, spring workouts, spring games, and everything, and we're here. It just like the NFL as well. We're about to start that soon again. So yeah, fantasy football time, actual NFL football time. Depends on which one it matters more to you in your own personal life. Some people out here might not play fantasy football. Then you got others who, you eat, sleep, and breathe fantasy football, depending on how you and your buddies are about it. But it's football is here, and it's time to get things going. I will say, as fast as the off season has been, I sure bet the Texas Longhorns wish the offseason was a little bit longer. Let some guys heal up. Are you talking about 9 months longer? You talking about that much longer?
Yes. Postpone the whole season. Oh man.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. Well, look, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, folks. This is probably gonna be a packed house of an episode. But yeah. As what my good friend Chris just mentioned, there's a little bit of issues going on with the Texas Longhorns running back depth chart. So we'll definitely get to that in a little while. But we appreciate y'all listening in on the show as always. We got a lot of topics to talk about, like I said, and I guess Chris will go ahead and start with probably one of the bigger topics to kind of hit us before the season starts. I was looking for something like this to happen probably, I don't know, like June or something like that. If it was going to happen in July, come on, let it happen in the beginning of July. But no, the football god said, let me give you some juicy news, some scoops before like 15 to 10 days before the season starts or whatever. So it's crazy. But the University of Michigan, they just got word that Sharon Moore, their brand new head coach, after Jim Harbaugh left to coach the LA Chargers, he is one of 7 members from the 2023 football program that's accused of violating NCAA rules in a draft that was made by the notice of allegations, Chris. So shout out to Dan Murphy and Pete Thamel of ESPN of getting this information and kind of going over it. But pretty much they said like the draft that they made could change, but they're saying Sharon Moore could face a show cause penalty and possibly a suspension for deleting 52 text messages with former Michigan staffer Connor Stallions in October of 2023. So that's what they're saying. There's a little bit more to unpack from it, but that's pretty much the gist of it right now. And I think just a few days ago, Sharon Moore, I think, was asked about the whole situation. He was pretty much like, I want my text message to be leaked, like it. So I'm guessing he's looking at this as motivation. So I don't know, but that's pretty much what he said. I mean, Coach Sharon Moore, he's built different, Chris. That's all I gotta say.
He's going to have to be with everything that's kind of swirling around the program here as he enters, as he's in year 1 as the head man at Michigan. Man, it's tough. He with this situation where this is an elite program. Man, my boy, first year, things just can't run smoothly, Katie. It's something going on. We coming out with possible level 2 violation recommended for Coach Moore here in Michigan. So we'll see how things play out over the next few years. But for now, it's just it's another distraction. But I mean, they had a distraction over their heads last year, and they ended up winning the national championship. So I feel like if there's a program that's kind of built to get through a situation like this, it possibly is Michigan, but it's going to be put to the test because that was under Coach Harbaugh's leadership. But we'll see how things play out. But man, this is just. It's not a shocker because we knew things they aren't 100% resolved since the Connor Stallions thing has come to light, and I think we're still a while away from everything being fully resolved here, Kory.
That's what it seems like. It seems like Michigan was dead set on trying to remove themselves from this situation, but the NCAA, they always gonna hold on to you. And as you looking at the meme right now, this is fine. This is fine. There's some people in Michigan right now just kind of brushing this off right now, i.e. Sharon Moore, but it is what it is. But overall, yeah, I know they had to been like, man, we just want to move on from this. But hey, there's something that they still have to deal with. It's not that simple.
Yeah,
it's just not that simple. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will. Feel like they're probably operating as business as usual. I'm sure they have a method to the madness on how they were able to go through all the chaos that was kind of surrounding them last season. So I'm sure they're probably adopting that it's me against the world mentality, Michigan versus everybody, and gonna go out there and try to have another good season of Michigan football. So we'll see how it all plays out, but it doesn't look like Coach Moore and the gang are going to get out of this unscathed when it's all said and done, I think, Kory.
Yeah, I hate to kind of break it to Wolverines fans, but yeah, it really doesn't look like it either to me, Chris, in terms of where we're at with this whole situation. It's unfortunate.
It is. At least ain't no. It seems like everybody's keeping their mouth shut though.
Yeah.
Stallions ain't trying to talk to nobody. Coach Harbaugh said, "Wait, hold on. I'm in the meeting right now with the Chargers. I'll call y'all back." I mean, he ain't saying nothing either. So,
right. It's like he's just cool.
Whatever decision, man. Yeah, everybody doing their own thing. So I'll be curious to see what's the last. What will be the NCAA's decision with everything when it's all said and done, just with how the lack of cooperation that a lot of people have in this investigation currently.
Yeah, we'll see. Like the report said, things could still change. He may not even get a show cause in this situation, but we'll have to see how the notice of allegations will kind of proceed and progress over time this season. But I am with you. I will say this. I think Michigan's going to really use this as fuel to the fire to kind of boost their chances this season, to kind of catapult them, because they did it last year and you saw what happened. They brought home a national championship. It's just gonna be rinse, lather, repeat. So
yeah, it definitely is.
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, but yeah. I think we had to kind of talk about that because it's. I know a few weeks ago that's all pretty much people were talking about. In addition to a couple other things that were going on, with just fall practices and everything. But yeah, it's definitely a big story. We'll definitely let you guys know any updates regarding this situation at UM. But yeah, Chris, from that topic, we'll also talk about something else that I think is very interesting as we're in this new 12-team playoffs, Chris. The Group of Five, and I love Group of Five football. I know you love Group of Five football as well. We found a lot of really good talent from these G5 schools. But there was a article that was a couple of articles, but people have kind of there's been a lot of talk about it, I should say. And this, I have this article right here, and this is from College Football HQ, formerly known as Sports Illustrated, where they say the Group of Five is exploring its own NIT of football. Insider say this is from James Parks from their website. So shout out to him for his work. And it pretty much mentions that the Group of Five, which is already guaranteed a spot in the new 12-team format, with that, they're still looking at banding together to create their own group that or their own like tournament that they can have in the postseason. And I thought that this was very interesting because you have on one side, which they are also a part of, with that one spot, the college football playoff, the 12-team format. They are now in position where they're already making talks about having their own like play-in tournament in the postseason now. So this is just creates more, I guess you could say, chaos and hoopla now, Chris, where A lot of these conferences are banding together and doing multiple different things to, you know, kind of keep relevancy in college football.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea with how the landscape of college football is. If they were to have their own NIT type of tournament, you know, it would. Everybody loves football. Like, people will watch because in the United States of America, we love football. Don't matter if it's college football, pro football, high school football, USFL football, flag football. If it has foot and ball in it, we will watch. So I think for these conferences and everything to maximize their potential, their earning potential, as long, and also with literally just trying to stay relevant as universities and to be on a good fiscal footing and have money in schools and compete with these huge conferences. This is probably the move, you know, and it is pulling, it's taking a page out of like the D2 schools. Like, you know, the D2 schools have been having their own playoff for years now, and we tune in, watch, and so it's not a bad idea to continue to generate eyes, and you know, people will be invested. So I think it's honestly a great idea with just the current landscape of how college football is today.
Agreed. Yeah, it is definitely something now that with everything going on with the expansion, with the money being tied into college athletics, with NILs, especially what we talk about here in college football, it's just another way for these schools to promote themselves and, you know, kind of build their brand. Because I mean, we've talked about it on the show, Chris, where, you know, with the 12-team format, yeah, there's going to be more teams involved, but we kind of feel and suspect that the teams with a lot of moolah, a lot of money, are going to be the teams that you're going to usually see in this playoffs. Like, something really ridiculous would have to happen if, like, an Ohio State or Texas just didn't get in because they somehow became like a 6-6 football team or something like that. Like, something catastrophic would have to happen for teams like that to just go down, knowing that these teams have the most money, which they can go out and get the best recruits in the nation year in and year out. So building a NIT style tournament for the postseason, I think would be very beneficial to a lot of these Group of 5 teams out there that's, you know, trying to, you know, showcase their talents as well and show everybody, like, hey, we got really good talent also. So so yeah, it's the only thing I'll say is this. I wonder how, if this pretty much takes off, how are they going to format it? Are they going to use kind of the bowls that we have now as like the semifinal bowls? You know,
right?
Because you know, a lot of these Group of 5 teams, to be honest with you, during the postseason or just bowl season, they do play each other in these early bowls. So how does that kind of work?
That is something interesting to think about. I'm sure they'll get all of that hashed out. So that is a potential, potential opportunity when it comes to how they implement their own version of the postseason. But we'll see. I'm glad they're working. They're thinking. You know, just trying to be forward thinking and get ahead of this, because we see how fast college football landscape can change. So we would hate see the group of five teams just forgotten and just moved aside, and nobody thinks about them at all. And that could easily happen in the next 5-10 years. So you gotta get ahead of it now and try to think, what can we do to maximize what we have and make it happen. Because you have to, you gotta be fluid and fast on your feet with how the current culture is.
No, I agree with you. It's going to be interesting to see what happens over time with the G5 and with this whole deal of banding together to create their own tournament that supplements the actual college football playoff format. So college football is changing. It's changing so rapidly now that we can't even see it anymore. So but it's interesting to say the least. So it's something
right.
that I'm interested in seeing what happens going forward. So that's all. I think we have to look and see. Be patient with it. That's all.
Definitely.
So yeah, man. But anything else you want to add to this news, Chris, before we move on?
No, sir. I think we're good.
All right. Well, now we're going to get into the topic that you pretty much hinted at the fans a little bit a minute ago, Chris. And I'm sure some of our Texas Longhorns fans that listening to the show probably already know what we're talking about.
They knew before the country.
Yeah, they do. They do. Oh man. So yeah. So the University of Texas has had pretty much an abysmal couple of weeks, I should say, Chris. So first, we heard the injury to running back C.J. Baxter. This was probably like about a week or two ago. We had heard this news.
Yeah, it's about, I would say, close to 2 weeks now. But yeah, probably about 10 days.
Yeah. But yeah, it was pretty much announced several days ago that he sustained a torn LCL and PCL in his right knee during one practice on a Tuesday. So he's out for the 2024 season. He won't be playing for the Longhorns. Shortly after Baxter blowing out his knee and ending his 2024 campaign, Christian Clark, which was the guy that was behind C.J. Baxter, Chris, he also hurt his Achilles tendon, so he's out for the season. So now we're just looking at a very thin running back depth chart right now at UT. So what do you think about this?
This is tough. This is tough, man. This is
it's really tough.
This is not what you want to see. If you're a Longhorns fan at all, football itself is a brutal physical sport that will, wear and tear you down throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
So you need everybody to go into the season healthy, and just hopefully we can remain as healthy as possible throughout the season. But boy, you're being dealt the raw hand when you're down to RB3 heading into week 0. We know Texas has talented guys. There's gonna be some young fellas that'll have to step up and make some plays and be baptized by fire. But my mind instantly thinks about this, Kory, in regards to how this can affect Texas' potential when it comes to trying to hoist a national championship trophy. We're gonna learn. We're gonna learn a lot about their pass protection this season. I think we're going to see teams, maybe some defensive coordinators, take some more chances when it comes to pass rush and blitzing this Texas team this season. Now that you have some inexperienced guys who will have to be back there and trying to pick up keys and pass protection. So that's going to be the interesting thing. We know they're going to be able to run the football. Texas has a great O-line. They're going to have guys be able to. You got athletes there that just are unknown. They will be able to make plays when it comes to running the football. I'm curious to see how will these guys be in pass protection. That's what I'm curious to find out as the season continues. I think that's where Texas will feel the losses of their two running backs the most.
I agree with you. Like once you got two really good running backs out, Chris, people are just gonna pin their ears back and just really attack you. like that's just how it is. and you know Sark has to know that. He's like, oh gosh, they are like all he gonna see in his sleep now every week is like middle linebackers, DNs just coming across.
Sark he's in the lab right now trying to figure out how we're going to counter these blitzes. Like he's already on it.
Yeah, you gotta bring out two tight ends, one on each side now. You gotta do something.
You gotta do something.
Ain't no slots going out here.
Because that's what they're going to see. They're going to see some teams take some more chances. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But it's a raw deal for Texas, the team that we already know, man. When you're a preseason top 5 universally and most rankings in most people's eyes, you're a national championship contender.
Yeah.
So this is very unfortunate, man. It can be possibly the difference in a team like Texas not being able to hoist a championship. We'll see. Plenty of time to find out. But it definitely doesn't make it any easier to win in that though, losing these two guys.
No, I agree with you on that. So it's it's unfortunate for the Longhorns and losing those guys. I mean, I was primed and ready to see CJ Baxter play this season. You know, he is a really good running back.
CJ was, but I saw a lot of CJ in the video game already, so we already knew what he was going to come to do this season.
Hey, he transferred to Mississippi State on my game, and hey, he was. We were doing numbers up until we met Georgia, so you know it is what he is.
Oh man, yeah. See, he's gonna bounce back though. We know CJ will bounce back next season once healthy. Yeah, hope those guys get right, get back to 100%, take a full recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. So, best wishes out to those guys. I hope they make speedy recoveries, both CJ Baxter and Christian Clark, both. So, we'll see what happens. Probably, I'm sure Jaden Blue, who is also a pretty good running back in his own right for Texas, he's probably going to take a lot of that load now at the running back position now, and I'm sure he welcomes it. You know, he's a team player, so since he's been at Texas, so we'll definitely see what happens.
For sure.
But yeah, that's the news coming out in Austin with the Longhorns. Next, Chris, we're going to head up north a little bit, and we're going to talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes presenting their starting quarterback. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
So,
oh man, this is funny.
yeah. So, former Kansas State quarterback Will Howard is now the starting quarterback for the Ohio State Buckeyes now. So, hats off to Will Howard. He's going to be a part of a program that I think a lot of the Ohio State faithful is really counting on this year to really make a name for themselves. Now, so he has big shoes to fill, Chris. I will say that.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. But it's so funny that this announcement came out. Like we didn't know as soon as he transferred to Ohio State that he was going to be the starting quarterback.
Oh,
I saw
shocker.
the news came out. Right, okay, and then the sky's blue. All right, but so yeah. But no, this is Will Howard. He should. I feel like he's going to do a good job for Ohio State. No surprise, of course, as we've mentioned that he's named the starting quarterback for the Buckeyes. He's a good veteran guy, and I think he's someone that doesn't want. It sounds like based off his move to Ohio State, that he doesn't want all pressure to have to be on him to make plays. He kind of alluded to that as his time at Kansas State, that he had a lot on his plate. And go to Ohio State, where there are nothing but 5 and 4 stars all across the board, and if a 3-star guy makes it onto Ohio State's roster, best believe he's a gem. So nothing but the cream of the crop at Ohio State at your disposal. So you can get your Kirk Cousins on that at Ohio State, Will, and just make the right reads and get the ball in the playmaker's hands and watch him cook. So I think we'll see a lot of that, and we'll see him. I think he'll make the right plays, and he'll also make a few plays himself with his legs. He can scoot a little bit. He can pick up some yards.
Oh yeah.
If he sees some nice little lanes. So I think we'll see him run a good bit this season too, Kory.
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, like he was skirting around the field last year a lot. I think he really did shock a lot of the Big 12 last year. So yeah, I think you're gonna see a lot of that at Ohio State too, which I think that's one of the reasons why. I know it's not the only reason, but it's one of the big reasons that Ryan Day wanted him to become QB1 is to add a little flair to the team that they didn't get last year with Kyle McCord. So it's gonna be interesting what happens with Will Howard now playing for the Buckeyes. I'm definitely going to be tuned in because, man, watching Ohio State last year was a drag at times. I don't know about you, Chris, but it definitely was a drag.
It was not fun. Not the Ohio State that we've been accustomed to watching the last few years.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. It's just you didn't see that. Well, you saw it at times, but it wasn't consistent. It wasn't like a consistent flair. Yeah. It just wasn't dynamic enough.
You fear the defense.
Yeah.
But you didn't fear the offense.
Right. So it just wasn't what it was last season. So hopefully they got whatever they needed fixed for Ohio State now, and they can really perform the way that we know that they can perform, being that top echelon team in college football. So we'll see. Will Howard last year, he had 2,643 yards, 24 touchdowns with 10 interceptions and a 75.1 QBR rating. So it wasn't bad, but we'll definitely see what he does this season.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure he's going to try to keep that interception number below 10.
Yeah.
try to make few mistakes. At least just smart reads, the right plays.
Exactly. So we'll definitely keep our eyes peeled on the Buckeyes this season. But yeah, Chris, anything else you want to add about Will Howard being the starting quarterback before we move on to our last topic?
No, sir. We keep it moving.
All right. Well, as everyone knows, the Breakdown Sportscast has their top 25 list of the 2024 season, and Chris kicked it off last on the last show that we did a few weeks ago, just talking about all of the teams from what was it, 25 all the way to what was it, number 16?
16.
Yeah. Yep. So from there, Chris already kind of gave us those teams. On today's show, I'm going to end the show off talking about 15 to 6 in our top 25. So, and then next week we'll cap it off with the last 5 teams and look at what now is out, the Associated Press top 25, which I gotta say, pretty spot on. We're pretty spot on.
Pretty spot on. We've been to the lab.
That we have been, sir. I won't deny. I won't deny that with you. Like, you did excellent work with tailoring this top 25, and I think I've had a really fun time kind of going over it with you. So hopefully today's show we continue that progress as well.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, I'm going to start off with the number 15 team on our list this season, the Texas A&M Aggies. Now we have brand new head coach Mike Elko in the fold now, Chris.
Yes.
Taking over for those Aggies down there in College Station. So yeah.
Yes.
What are you thinking?
We got some structure.
Look, man. After what happened last season with Jimbo Fisher, just a little bit, just a little morsel of structure in this football program will work wonders. That's all I'm saying.
That's all we're saying. That's why they come in at number 15 for us.
Yeah.
They lost some talent, but they bring back a good bit. And now you got a legit. I think Coach Elko will prove himself to be a very good head coach and SEC football head coach.
Nah, I agree. So, it's going to be interesting what to see with this football team this year. I haven't too much heard. I'm not sure if you heard, Chris, who is the starting quarterback. I'm leaning towards Connor Wegman. Probably it's either between him or Marcel Reed becoming QB1 over in College Station. But I'm leaning toward Connor probably taking it just because
I am as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I think with potentially Connor Wegman, if he is the starting quarterback for the Aggies, I mean, they have some talent back. They have Le'Veon Moss at running back. I love Le'Veon Moss. Reuben Owens also compliments Moss as well.
Moose Muhammad, is back.
Yeah, he's back. So yeah, it's gonna be
you got some guys there.
Yeah. Noah Thomas at receiver. So I'm just kind of looking down their depth chart, their list right now. They have some guys there.
You already know Coach Elko, that defense.
Oh yeah,
defense is going to be.
I'm expecting it from year one, that defense to be elite.
Oh yeah, look. I think that was one of the things. He came in. He was like, "Look, we gonna sew this up. It's either my way or the highway at this point, buddy. Like, I gotta have a good defense, a capable defense, a defense that can at least rise up when they need to help us win some football games. So, I have no problem with the defense showing up and showing out when they need to. So
yeah,
let's just hope.
And so if they have a respectable offense, because
yeah,
the defense has been there the last 5 years. I mean, let's just be honest. The defense has been there. It's been the offense that has been the issue. So the offense is good. Hey, Texas A&M, that's a sleeper team for you.
It is. It is. It very much is. So what I was gonna mention was, I'm glad you mentioned is the consistency. You know, I think they're gonna show up on defense potentially, Chris. But let's hope we can say the same thing for that offense this season. Mm-hmm. We want to see that consistency, because you talk to a lot of Aggie fans, there just wasn't much consistency, and you could tell it towards the tail end.
Well, I could not be an A&M fan. You wouldn't know. You don't know what to expect from your team.
You don't know what's up and what's down. I know. And now you got Texas in the mix. Look, I know Texas has lost two very capable running backs, but hey, that's your rival. First time back since 2011.
That's why they said we got to do something. Hey, we might have to get a new coach. We got Texas coming in the league now. Look, we got to get this together.
Quick, fast, in a hurry.
Don't let them tell you that's not part of the reason why. Like, that is definitely part of the equation.
Oh yeah, that was part of the kicking out the door of Jimbo Fisher's time with the Aggies. But yeah, I agree with you, Chris. Brand new coach, some returning players. They just got to put it all together this season. And look, I don't know what's going to happen for A&M, but you know, we'll see. I'll say, like, if they can win like 8 or 9 games, you know.
Oh yeah, that's a great first season. I think 8 wins. New head coach. A lot of guys at the portal. That's a great first year under Elko, and something you can definitely build on going forward. You know, the running joke has always been A&M going 8-4, but with a fresh head coach and an expanded SEC, exactly. I think that's a good year. So if that's what year 1 looks like, imagine what year 3 and 4 could be. So
right. I agree with you. But yeah, we'll definitely see what happens going forward this season with Texas A&M. So from there, we did number 15. That's the first team that I kicked us off with in our top 25 for this week's show. Number 14, we have the Florida State Seminoles, Chris. We all know about the Florida State Seminoles. They got a game coming up in week 0 against Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
it's a little bit different of a team. You know, we got some new faces in. You know, DJ Uiagalelei is now playing for the Seminoles, as well as Dylan McNamara. Now, Chris, so it's different team.
We got Roydell Williams.
Yeah,
tailback.
Oh man, the man with the 1975 running back number 34 name.
Roydell Williams. I mean, yeah, they this is a team very experienced. I don't know if you had a chance to look at their depth chart that they released ahead of because this game for Florida State. You know, they got Georgia Tech here in about 6 days. So
they got some experienced guys. Malik Benson starting at receiver. Ja'Kai Douglas. They also have a redshirt freshman, Jalen Brown. I'm curious to see how he pans out because he's making his way into the mix as a redshirt freshman. So that must mean he's somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care what iteration of Florida State we're talking about. You have Florida State getting some tick as a freshman. You somebody. So I'm ready to see how he looks. But this is a good team though, Kory. I'm curious to see just your thoughts on how 2024 can pan out for them.
I think they got a chance. They have some guys that are definitely in the fold now, like DJ Uiagalelei, who I love.
DJU,
yeah. After leaving, which was a really good situation for him. I think he played really good football over at Oregon State. I think he can bring that talent and bring something to keep going, to keep that Seminoles offense going now that they don't have Jordan Travis now. So it's going to be very interesting. But yeah, I agree with you as well. Having a guy like Jalen Brown there, Ja'Kai Douglas, he's a senior. There's a couple of other guys like Malik Benson, like you mentioned, Roydell Williams, transferring out of Alabama, now part of Florida State. You got some good pieces on offense that can, potentially help catapult this Florida State team into prominence. And hopefully, last year, unfortunately, they couldn't get that far or they couldn't even get into the playoffs mainly for the injuries and everything. But, take that the way you see it. But hopefully this season is a lot different for Florida State, and hopefully a lot of these guys can stay healthy and perform at a high level, and that way we can see where they stack up at the end of the regular season.
Yeah, this is another portal team in a sense, with Roydell being an outside guy, DJU being an outside guy. So it's another year of hitting the portal, and we'll see if Florida State hits. I think there will be I think Coach Norvell has proven that this is Florida State is here, which is why out of respect, we have them at 14. But I think there's another team. We're going to get to that team here shortly, but it's going to be curious to see where DJU can take them, because I think there's a quarterback in this league elsewhere that I think has a higher ceiling than DJU. So it's going to be curious. It'll be interesting to see how the season pans out in regards to where DJU can take Florida State. Because he's someone that's been good but limited. And so we'll hit some limitations, keep this Florida State team from reaching the heights that I'm sure Coach Norvell has for them.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I think I know the guy that you're talking about, and I think we're definitely going to be talking about him as we kind of progress through the list on today's show. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing what Norvell does with this team. I mean, he has a lot of pieces, like you said, and they just got to put it together for a really good season. Hopefully, everybody stays healthy. So yeah, we'll definitely see what happens with Florida State Seminoles this season. Moving up, number 13, we have the Penn State Nittany Lions, Chris. So, every year, James Franklin comes out, Chris, and he's always excited for a new season. Like, hey, we looking to build on to what we did, and it's like if they ended the season last year this way, and whatever James Franklin is telling everybody over there. in Pennsylvania. Well, what's going to happen this season? It's probably just going to stay right here.
Same old.
Same old. You don't go up, you don't go down, you just stay where you at. Penn State, ladies and gentlemen.
Penn State. Yeah, man. Penn State, good program. Good team. Nothing fancy, nothing special to me. Just a good, solid, really good Big Ten team. They have yet to prove themselves to be the upper echelon. I think they're like a tier 2 Big Ten school. Just being honest, you got your Ohio States, your Michigans, who are your normal regulars. Now you have Oregon and Oregon entering that mix.
USC.
I think kind of USC falls into that tier with the Penn State. But yeah. So we'll see how this season pans out for the Nittany Lions. Drew Allard is back for another year. We'll see if the offense can take some leaps, because the offense had its limitations. Wide receivers could not create separation for nothing last year. It was rough. I mean, everybody talked about Drew Allard, but man, it's hard for a quarterback to throw the guys who ain't open. Just being honest, to cut him some slack on all the criticism that he kind of faced. So,
I agree. I agree, and I think that's one of the reasons why if you ask someone like a James Franklin about why Drew Allard is back for Penn State, he would probably tell you look, none of the issues that they had last year was on him. He did his job for the most part. He didn't really make that many mistakes. It was just guys just not being in position where they needed to be at. It was just kind of a letdown of an offense when you have a capable quarterback to actually lead you to victory. So it's just one of those things where they kind of had to learn. They had to take that off season to get some newer guys in, get some transfers in and everything. So, now they have that. We'll see what happens this season with Penn State. But no, I agree with you. It's interesting.
I'm right there with you too. I think they'll be a good team. It's just a matter of, can you win the games, the big games,
right?
We know you can beat everybody else in the conference. Can you beat Ohio State? Can you beat a Michigan?
Yep.
Can you beat an Oregon? That's what we want to see. If they can. Penn State has officially they have officially taken the next step.
Yeah.
And are a legit contender. And if not, they're just another really good college football team. We're going to find out this season. Can they take the next step? And they might not, and still make the playoff.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. That that they somehow kind of squeak in, because look, I'm looking at the 12-team playoff format. It just. In terms of us playing the video game and just kind of mapping out things, of course, because the only way for us to look at this right now is through this game right now. I mean, hey, you lose a few games, you can still get in. You lose possibly a Michigan, Ohio State. You probably can still squeeze in there. If you do everything else right. Yeah. So, I don't know. All I know is, it's a new year for them. Hopefully they figure out some things. They win in the off season, and kind of built upon their team and trying to, fix those issues at receiver and getting some guys in there and just kind of getting the game plan that works for them.
That's the big thing. That is the big thing. And so we'll see that on display in week 1.
Yes.
They take on a solid, possibly a pesky West Virginia team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a team that can make some noise this season. So that'll be a great week 1 test at West Virginia. So we're gonna learn a lot about this Penn State team. Actually, kind of instantly, immediately, week 1. That's a really good matchup.
Oh, it is. That definitely is. I mean, West Virginia, who is one of those sneaky teams out there, I think in the Big 12 specifically. They could show you up in Penn State.
They live for chaos. Big 12 teams live for chaos.
Yes, they do.
Whether it's in the conference or out the conference, they live for it.
Yes, they do. They do. So we'll definitely see what happens for the Nittany Lions this season. But yeah, Penn State is our number 13 team. We now go to our number 12 team. We talked about Sharon Moore earlier. Michigan Wolverines. Chris.
Yeah. Got Michigan coming in at 12.
Yeah. I think, like I had mentioned earlier, me and you both had mentioned that they're going to feed off of all of the negativity to try to get them to where they need to be at this season. So
definitely,
yeah.
they'll feed off of people like us who, you know, you might kind of look across the board. We got Michigan a little lower than what you would anticipate a national championship winning team being the following season. But they lost a good bit, man. They lost some playmakers. You lose J.J. McCarthy. You lose Blake Corum. I know Donovan Edwards is back. The Don,
yes.
As Gus would say. But there's some turnover in the program. You know, this is our first time seeing them in a while without Coach Harbaugh as the head coach. There's a lot of noise going on around the program. A lot of people preying on their downfall that want to see Michigan lose too. So we want to see just how this team can they continue to rally. I'm not going to say that they will not. But I will say it's going to be tough. I mean, we don't know exactly who their starting quarterback is either, Kory. We have an idea of who the starter can be, but there has not been an announcement, as far as I know, of a starting quarterback at Michigan.
No. The only person I can see possibly taking that spot is Jack Tuttle, senior, from San Marcos, California. I mean, he has a lot of seniority over a lot of the guys that are there, so he could be QB1 for them. But we'll see. We haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
So, that's just my guess.
You know, he's someone that definitely can get it. And you have also Alex Orji, too, the athlete. The guy who, I mean, we know he's a freak athlete. There's videos of him, how he's able to go to squat and just the different things he can do, his balance, great speed, but can he run the offense? I mean, can he make the right reads? You know, it's one thing to be a freak athlete. It's also, you got to be a football player too. And you manning the helm, you know, hold it down at QB. You got to be able to make the right reads. So we're going to see how that plays out. But I feel like they lost a lot. So you know, there's still a top tier program, but there's some teams I feel like that are more set up to possibly have a playoff run. We'll see. We'll see.
It's gonna be interesting for Michigan. We'll probably hear in a few days on who's going to be quarterback one for the Michigan Wolverines, and from there on, we'll start to kind of get a little bit more information about depth chart, and as we kind of get closer to the start of the season for them. The first game is a game at home in the Big House against Fresno State at 6:30 p.m. So they shouldn't have any issues with Fresno State, but hey, look, I wouldn't too much count Fresno State out. Like, they have some pretty good teams before.
Fresno State actually they have a solid squad. I'm sure Michigan fans they ain't forgot about the last time someone they had no business beat them. So I'm sure they'll take this game seriously.
They rhyme with Mappalachian Plate.
Yeah, our state they have not forgotten about that at all. That was a team that was hyped up too.
Yes,
that Mike Hart squad.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. Then turn around and play Texas.
Okay.
The game's a lot. It was already a top tier matchup, but that game is even more interesting now with the information we know going on with the Texas running back room.
Exactly. So yeah, it's two teams with two different problems, all colliding, Chris. Like, it doesn't get any better than that. Oh man, but yeah, no, I can't wait for that game. That's gonna be very interesting. Saturday, September the 7th, Texas and Michigan collide with one another at the Big House, by the way. So that's not a game in Austin. So hey, we'll see what happens with that game. But yeah, I can't wait. That should be very, very interesting. But yeah, anything else you want to add, Chris, to Michigan before we move on to our number 11 team?
No, sir. Nothing else.
All right. So, hoisting the number 11 spot in our top 25 is the Tennessee Vols. Oh man,
Volunteers.
This is a team that I'm very, very interested in seeing this year, Chris. If everything goes right, I'm looking for big things for the Volunteers this year. Josh Heupel, he's recruited well since he's been at Tennessee. I'm looking at my boy Nico this year, really doing some things now that he's on quarterback one for the Volunteers this year. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see what this team does. Hunter Barnes comes back at running back. They have a couple of other players, Dylan Sampson as well. Just
Squirrel.
Slew, yeah, exactly. Squirrel White is back at receiver.
Yeah, look, when you go by the name Squirrel, that's how you know he's cold. You ain't gotta ask. You gotta ask if he's nice. He go by Squirrel. That tells you everything you need to know. That he is fast as I don't know what. Y'all gonna learn about Squirrel White this year if you don't already know about him.
Hey, I can't wait to watch Squirrel White, but there's another guy that we'll talk about next week. That's a freshman. We'll talk about him. That he also has a very unique name, Chris. So yeah, but no, I'm with you. Squirrel White is going to be doing numbers for the Volunteers. Dante Thornton Jr. He's back. This is his senior season. Just a slew of guys out here.
It's a lot of talent. A lot of talent out there in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the Vols this year. But I'm interested into seeing how they can handle this season. The first game was against Chattanooga, so they should handle that game pretty well. Number 24, NC State. That's gonna be interesting.
That's a good game. That's a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's people out there in NC State that think they are a dark horse to make the playoffs. They have playoff aspirations.
Yeah.
Out there at NC State. So we're gonna learn a lot about both teams that Saturday. So that'll be an interesting matchup. I know for myself personally, when I look at this Tennessee team, we've seen the success they had with Hendon Hooker at quarterback and how prolific the offense was. We've seen this team have a dominant defense, like a top tier defense as well. Granted, the offense wasn't on the level of the defense last year, but we did see that. I think this is a chance I think there's a good chance we see both worlds clash and come together this year, where Tennessee has an elite offense and an elite defense. With Nico holding it down at quarterback, 5-star prospect out of high school. This is arguably the most talented quarterback that Coach Heupel has had at his disposal.
Yeah.
So this is what he's been waiting for. Having a guy like him be able to man the fort. So with the skill guys they have and the players that they bring back on defense as well, the schedule is manageable. You know, if we go back to it and look at it, you know, you have, I believe the Alabama game is a home game, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's look at it.
Alabama's back at home. You're back at home for Oklahoma. That one is on the road. You're at Oklahoma and you're at Georgia. If you can split split those games, you put yourself in a good position. You're not expecting to beat Georgia at Georgia, but if you can get that Oklahoma win, that'll be big for Tennessee and setting themselves up to make a playoff push. So favorable schedule, nothing too egregious. Well, Florida and Kentucky are really good teams. You're playing the SEC. You're expected to, you're going to have solid matchups. You're not going to be able to just take a week off. And you kind of pan out well playing Mississippi State and Arkansas in some down years for it's a new head coach at Mississippi State, and it's make or break for Arkansas. So we'll see how that pans out. But it's not the worst schedule in the world.
No, not at all. This is if done right, this is a manageable schedule for Heupel and his squad,
especially for a team that we expect and we look at as a top 12 team.
Right.
We look at Tennessee as a playoff team. If you're in the top 12, we look at you as a team that should be in the playoff.
Yeah, I agree. It's just staying the course, staying healthy, getting the guys in position to make some plays. I think is very important with what you had said, Chris. So and hopefully that just ties into the consistency overall. For the offense as well as the defense, so it's going to be it's going to be something to watch this season for Tennessee and what they do. So yeah, I'm very much interested in seeing what the Volunteers do this season. But I am a Nico fan. So, and I know you are as well, Chris. So we're definitely gonna see what he brings to the table in the SEC this season.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, that was our number 11 team, the Tennessee Volunteers. Number 10, as we move on, we have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Chris. So it's it's going to be a big season for the Fighting Irish. They have Riley Leonard now at quarterback. Former Duke quarterback Riley Leonard, who I love very much. I seeing him in that Clemson game, he really shocked me.
He put on the show.
Yeah.
And, I think he's going to be put on the show this season for Notre Dame. This is a very talented Notre Dame team. Like, normally Notre Dame is. There's been some years where you feel like they're ranked a little higher than maybe some of the players that they have. Yeah, they always had the best athletes.
Mm-hmm.
No, this team got some athletes.
They do.
Of course, they got some players. So
got them dogs.
They are set up to make the playoffs this year. This is a really good team, and the defense will be a very stingy defense.
Mm-hmm.
I think they will be getting a lot of interceptions with the secondary that they have. And there's been word that this is one of probably the best quarterback room Notre Dame's had in a while. I think the offense is going to put up numbers too. So Notre Dame, I think they're a really good 10 team with potential to shoot up higher than the number 10 ranking that we have for them.
Yeah, that's saying a lot. That's really saying a lot for Notre Dame team that for what it's worth, they've had they've had a lot of good seasons where they performed very well, but they didn't quite make it to where they wanted to be. This season, however, they got a lot of people coming back, a lot of seniority in a lot of places. Devin Ford, which he's one of the best running backs coming into the Fighting Irish's backfield. He's gonna do very well, and like you said, those they have a really good defense. They have some really good corners as well. To produce at a high level for the Fighting Irish this year, so I'm very interested in seeing what happens for Notre Dame this year. And let me look at their schedule as well. They have a date with Texas A&M.
Yeah, we're going to learn a lot about them week 1.
Yeah,
that's a great matchup. A&M and Notre Dame.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big
it's at A&M as well. They are embracing the 12th man. It's not a neutral site game. They're on the road.
Right. So that's gonna be an interesting game, to say the least. So I can't wait to watch that game on August the 31st. So that'll be very, very fun to watch. But yeah. I'm ready to see what happens with Notre Dame this season. I think the sky's the limit. They have a couple other games in here. I mean, of course, they always play Stanford. They have a game with Georgia Tech. That's at home.
They play Florida State.
And they end the season off with USC in California. They have to travel to that game.
So. Very, very solid schedule.
Mm-hmm. Very, very solid schedule. So, I think they can manage this schedule pretty well, Chris. If everything goes to plan for them this season, I think Coach Freeman and his squad they have a chance. They have a chance to really come out and take this Fighting Irish team to new heights.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. So we'll definitely see what happens with the Fighting Irish this season. So that's Notre Dame at number 10. So we have a couple more, about 4 more teams for y'all on today's show. We're at number 9, Kansas State. The Wildcats.
Yes.
We were talking about them early, Chris. Where, of course, with Will Howard leaving Kansas State and everything to go to Ohio State, but that doesn't too much hurt the Kansas State Wildcats because they have Avery Johnson that's going to be taking the snaps there for the Wildcats, and I can't wait to see him just because I don't know about you, Chris, but it's something about Avery Johnson where he just lights up a room when you see him. Like he's just very exciting to talk to watch. I can't wait to see this guy play. I think he's a freak.
Avery Johnson, he is a freak, a Heisman dark horse, an athlete. Dude is a tank, fast as well. It's a reason Kansas State wasn't tripping that Will Howard left out the door, and they respectfully they might have opened the door for him on his way out because they have Avery Johnson who is a playmaker, and if you don't know his name now, you will learn it here very shortly. He's a dynamic player, brings a wrinkle to the offense that makes it that much more difficult for a defense to try to slow down with his legs. And then you pair him with Dylan Edwards, running back from Colorado, transfers to Kansas State.
Yep,
he's a dynamic player, and I think we saw some flashes of his ability in Colorado, but in this system, Dylan Edwards could be a star.
I think he fits like a glove in this program, Chris.
He does. He really does. Someone that you're going to look at him like, man, when did Darren Sproles go back to college? Like, he's one of those kind of players. So I think he's going to be a beast. And Kansas State is just, they're set up to be really good, man. This is a program that has one of the best coaching staffs in the country. They know who they are. They have their own identity, and they just play Kansas State football. You know what I'm saying, Kory? So yeah. It's nothing flashy, nothing special, but it works. It gets the job done. They're always competing and right there in the mix.
Yeah,
and I don't expect anything otherwise this year. Actually, I expect them to be even better. I think Coach Kleiman, they make the playoffs this year. I think out of the wild west of the Big 12, this is a team that we have centered on. We were focused on as being the team that can establish and solidify themselves as the winner of the Big 12. And I think everything is kind of set up for them to do so.
No, I agree with you, Chris. What Chris Kleiman has done with this team, he's brought that flair to this team, in not necessarily taking down the identity of them. They're hard working. They're very blue collar style of play that Kansas State is. That's still intact, but the way he structured it, he's kind of really allowed these guys to be themselves a lot more, and he's brought in a lot of talent that's helped change the game for Kansas State. So, having guys like a Dylan Edwards that I loved when I watched him at Colorado, having those guys there can really help catapult them into that playoff discussion. So I'm just as eager and interested in seeing what they do as well as you are. And I think the schedule that they have is fairly manageable as well. They have a couple of games you can kind of say that are toss-ups, like Colorado is a toss-up for them. At West Virginia.
Get the Arizona game?
Yeah. Yeah, Arizona. Yeah. We saw them last
Arizona, year. Oklahoma State, Kansas.
Yeah, the Kansas
Iowa
game.
State. I mean, there's some you got to be on it. Can't get caught looking ahead. So to the most people eyes, like, oh, just got a few lower ranked teams on the schedule. They should be all right. But the Big 12 is the Big 12, man. It's America's conference for a reason. So you gotta be on your P's and Q's every week. That last game of the season at Iowa State can be a thriller. You know how we feel about Iowa State this year.
Hey, Iowa State, we've seen the Iowa State. They're known to get you, and like, you ask people here in Austin,
spoil your plans.
Yeah, they will spoil your plans. I've seen many games from Iowa State where they have destroyed the happiness of people here in Austin and everywhere else. Like it's Iowa State. Like, what can I say? What can I say?
Yep. So, it's everything's set up well for K-State. So I'm excited for the season to get underway, and I know we will be glued to the Arizona game week 3. We will be tuned in for that one.
Oh yeah,
that's going to be a fun one.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. That one will be a fun game. Arizona after the season that they had, they're going to have a big clash with Kansas State Friday in September the 13th.
Friday, September 13th.
Oh wow,
Friday the 13th. Oh baby.
Oh man, well, don't get any better than that when those two take on each other. So I'm definitely gonna be tuned in for that.
Play out there Friday the 13th. Oh baby.
Oh man, yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. But yeah, I'm very much interested in seeing what Kansas State does. But moving on, number 8. The Miami Hurricanes, Chris. Big year.
Miami Hurricanes.
Mario Cristobal trying to take this team to a college football playoff somewhere they haven't been to.
Yeah. If you look at our ranking, the U. According to how we look at them, the U is back.
The U is back.
They got to go out there and prove it. Mm-hmm. There are high expectations, but when you look at this roster, you look at who they have under center, Cam Ward, quarterback in this team. The way Miami's been recruiting out of high school, the state of Florida. You got guys like Chris Johnson Jr. there, who won't even start at running back. He's a backup. That young man can fly. Of course, his daddy is CJ2K.
Yeah,
he can absolutely fly. So it's gonna be some guys that I think make some names for themselves, and we're gonna be looking at Miami like, whoa, okay. Yeah. So that's how we look at this team. We expect him to have a great year. Mm-hmm. It's we might be a little ahead of it, but the way we look at it, man, like this, I think we're looking at the team to beat in the ACC. They got to go out there and prove it. But just based off of this roster and the coaching staff, I think you're gonna be hard pressed to find. You when you look at Miami on defense, their D line is top 5 in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
I think the D line is ridiculous. Like, good luck trying to block them. So I mean, this team is set up. Miami is set up, Kory.
They are. They got some dogs on defense. Like, good luck. Good luck if you're in the ACC trying to stop these guys. And look, that goes for Clemson. That goes for Florida State. That goes for a lot of these teams in the ACC that's trying to make a name for themselves this season. So, yeah, I mean, Simeon Barrow Jr., Marley Cook, All of these guys on the defensive line, as well as their offense.
Ruben Bang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can go on and on.
These are, when you see defensive linemen wearing single-digit numbers, when you see them wearing numbers that you associate with quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers, that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah.
It's the reason they wear that number.
Right. Good luck, because you're going to need it. Oh my God. Yeah, this team is primed and prepped. This can potentially be their moment, Chris, in really making a name for themselves in the college football playoff discussion. Like I said, they've never made it this far in terms of being in that discussion. Well, I guess you could say outside of probably last year, but they had those hiccups. Georgia Tech.
Man,
I'm sorry that came out wrong. It was,
they got to make the playoffs this year to live that down. Well, nobody bring up Georgia Tech no more. Miami makes the playoffs this year.
Exactly.
That's how you wash that away.
You're right. So hopefully they've learned from those mistakes. I mean, speaking of Georgia Tech, they gotta go to Georgia Tech on November the 9th. So yeah, they learn.
Special. Yeah.
It's definitely gonna be a Jefferson Pilot special. It's gonna be one of those ground and pound, hard nosed, just fight to the end games.
One of the ugly 27-24 ball games.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know it.
Yep.
You know how they go. but yeah, like they have a manageable schedule. If they can, really take down the teams that they need to beat. I mean, you start off the season with Florida. We'll see what happens with Florida this season, but and the game is at Gainesville, so that's going to be interesting. Other notable games that they do have, they have to go all the way to Cal, which
that's traveling. That's traveling.
Yeah,
other side of the country.
Whew. Good luck with that.
You welcome Virginia Tech, another sleeper team in the ACC. And you go to Syracuse.
Yeah.
Interesting matchup. Syracuse, potentially be having a good season, and of course your rival, Florida State.
Yeah.
So it's not a just egregiously difficult schedule, but it's some games you gotta definitely bring your A game for and go ahead and handle business to make sure you get the win.
I agree with you. So yeah, I'm interested in seeing what happens this season for the Hurricanes, but I'm eager to see people like Cam Ward go out there and perform for them, because he was a really good player at Washington State. So I know he's looking at really helping out Miami this year and getting them to potential championship conversation. Contention this year, so but yeah, that's number 8, Miami. Our last two, and we're heading to number 7, Chris. Number 7. This is a team that, from top to bottom, especially on their offense, I love, and I know you love them too. The Missouri Tigers.
Yes.
This team, I'd say, just like Miami, who we talked about a minute ago, they're primed and ready. They're one of those teams that they're not pretenders. I don't believe they're contenders. Brady Cook is back.
Here.
Yeah, Brady Cook is back.
Luther Burden
is back. I mean, this is a really, really good football team that I think, Theo Weiss Jr., like, their offense is stacked.
The O line, veteran offensive line, the veteran defensive line. This is what Eli has been building towards. This was his master plan. You know, this is what he envisioned his program. You know, we got to give a shout out to Drake, to Drakewitz.
Drake,
he really held down recruiting in the state. You know, a guy like a Luther Burden, that's an in-state guy, 5-star recruit coming out of high school. You know, I remember when Luther Burden was coming out and how highly coveted and highly sought after he was. You kept a guy like him in state, and kept him, brought him to Missouri, to your program. It's wins like that pay in the long run and pay dividends and get you to a point where you can have a season like this, where we look at them as a top 17 preseason. Luther Burden is a Sunday guy. Sunday guys are the guys that will elevate your program to do things that they don't normally do. And Missouri has handled business when it comes to recruiting in state and has built themselves to this point now.
They've really, done the work tremendously well, and shout out to Eli Drakewitz and his coaching staff, and really staying the course. You remember there was a time a couple of years before these good seasons that they had, Chris. A lot of people in Columbia were kind of wondering. They were like, is Drake the guy? He's the guy. He's more than the guy.
Those seasons, Kory, they were so close to pulling off big wins. They were overachieving.
Yeah, they were.
They were right there. Like we can't forget about the Auburn game.
We can't forget about the Georgia game.
We can't forget about the Georgia game. They gave Georgia the best game they had that season.
Yeah.
So this is the team that's been chopping down that tree, getting closer and closer. In a sense, this feels like their 2014 Mississippi State year, except that people kind of got the drop on them. Like, the word is out. Missouri is here.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna be a surprise like it was when Mississippi State popped out. Everybody knows about Missouri.
Right. I agree with you. Yeah. This is a really, really capable football team that's capable of doing really big things this year in the SEC. So let's take a look at their schedule right quick and see where they're at.
Go to A&M.
Yeah, you go to A&M.
Go to Bama, and then you have Oklahoma coming to your place.
Okay. So
those are the main games that pop out. If you can split that A&M and Bama, try to win one of those road games, and you handle business at home against Oklahoma, you're in.
Yeah. And try not to drop the South Carolina and Mississippi State game.
Yeah.
And the Arkansas game, which is always,
with the SEC, it's always those games, and you got Auburn at home. That's the one you just want to overlook this year.
Right.
Hugh Freeze he's primed and ready to try to get him to steal a win, to steal a game he has no business winning.
Exactly. So it's they just got to manage it well. I mentioned that Arkansas game. Usually it's always been on that Black Friday. This year it's going to be November the 30th. So that's a Saturday. But no, you're right, Chris. It's there's a couple games in there that could be traps, but if you manage it well, I think they'll have no problem. And you gotta take care of a team like Auburn, because Hugh Freeze, he's always creeping up. try to steal one from you.
Trying to steal one. He need it. They need it. They are coming for everybody.
Exactly.
You don't have to worry about Auburn. If they're gonna show up, they showing up every week this year.
Right. I wouldn't be playing around with Auburn this season. I mean, it would. Yeah, I would not be doing it. But yeah, I'm excited about this Missouri Tigers team, and yeah, we'll see what happens this season with them. So yeah. The last team on our list for today's show is at number 6, and yes, people in Tuscaloosa, don't come after us. Like, it is what it is. The Alabama Crimson Tide is our number 6 team. They are on the outside looking in of your usual top 5 in college football right now. But have no fear. Kalen DeBoer has been doing a very good job since he got there. He's been recruiting well. Hey, he enticed Jalen Milroe to come back. You know, he's their most seasoned quarterback. He took it upon himself, mentioning Milroe, that he really wanted to stay the course with Alabama. And, yeah, he's returned to really try to improve himself and improve this team and help them take Bama back to prominence, even without Nick Saban, who's now retired. So, yeah, you have a couple people that are new, but but you definitely have a very capable football team if everything goes in order. So you know, yeah. So we'll definitely see what happens. But what do you think, Chris, about the Crimson Tide this year? Got a couple people coming from Washington, follow the DeBoer.
Yeah, you got some guys there.
Jeremy Bernard, wide receiver.
You got Kendrick Law. Mm-hmm. Law is a guy who should be a playmaker on the outside for them at wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
You got this young man who he's so cold. He bypassed his senior year of high school to go ahead and come on to Alabama, and they say he's been making plays. Ryan Williams.
Yes.
And this is a wide receiver room that is, you know, they do have some guys, like I mentioned, Law, but they have been lacking, and they're kind of lacking that premier guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been so accustomed to Alabama just producing elite, top of the line wide receivers. You know, Isaiah Bond transferred to Texas, so no, he won't be back. But maybe Ryan Williams. It's a lot to ask for out of a true freshman, let alone a freshman that's starting school a year earlier than he should, was expected to.
Right.
But we'll see what he provides. I'm sure he's going to work his way into the rotation very shortly into the season. And he'll be a guy come SEC time.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll be seeing a good bit from him. So, and then Kalen DeBoer's system. You've seen what he did with Rome Odunze and the other receivers at Washington. Where there's some players are there. It's still Alabama. So despite a lot of guys transferring and leaving, hey, as much as people and the fan in me might be preying on the downfall of Alabama, you got to respect Alabama, man. What's there and what's been established, and the kind of coach Kalen DeBoer is when it comes to teaming up X's and O's. I had to personally put some respect on it because of the times last season they showed up and beat Oregon, who I still feel like was a better team than Washington, but somehow Washington made it to the national championship.
Yeah.
So that tells you all you need to know about Kalen DeBoer. So we're going to see what he does with this team here at Alabama. It's going to be real interesting because there's a lot of X factors that can contribute to how this season plays out for the Crimson Tide.
Nah, I agree with you. It's it's gonna be an interesting season. I mean, he brought a lot of his Louis in, just like what Dion always talks about from Washington to Tuscaloosa. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. He enticed a guy like Caden Proctor to not go to Iowa, to stay with the Crimson Tide. He's back. So there are some things that are in place for this team to be Alabama. The team that we always see. It's just gonna be a different face out there. And can Kalen DeBoer really get this team to rise to the occasion each week and play like Alabama?
We're going to find out. I mean, this is the first time we've seen someone that's not named Nick Saban since the mid-2000s, Kory. Like, we was kids. Nick Saban has been around a while. So it'll be interesting to see how things go once, that first L occurs.
Right.
And then don't let them lose a game they ain't supposed to. The schedule ain't peaches and cream either.
No.
It's a solid schedule. There's potential for some slip up there.
I mean, at Wisconsin, that's such a weird game.
Extremely weird game. Extremely weird. You welcome Georgia to town. You go to Tennessee. You welcome Missouri to town. You go to LSU. You go to Oklahoma. And you have the Iron Bowl. It ain't Murderer's Row, but it ain't easy either.
Nope. It's not.
You could go 11-1. You could go 7-5. It's just everything, just all the wheels fall apart. I mean, it's really interesting what can happen this season for the Tide.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, look, when Kalen DeBoer was first announced as the head coach, he knew that this wasn't going to be an easy task. Nick Saban told him. This was Nick Saban was a guy who has his best interest in Kalen DeBoer. So he's the one who stuck his neck out in saying, like, you're supposed to be the guy that's supposed to be here for this team. So Nick Saban wouldn't do that if he knew that he wouldn't rise to the occasion with a schedule like this. So I guess all I can say is it's a tough schedule. But when you're in the SEC, especially now with Texas and OU in, there's no time to feel sorry for yourselves. You got to get to work. So so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Crimson Tide this season. But I'm excited. I'm excited about this team. There's a lot of people coming back. A lot of people have transferred into this offense, and I'm eager to see what happens this season. So yeah. So anything else you want to add, Chris, before we wrap up today?
No, sir.
All right.
Good to go.
Nice. Well, we did it. we did it. So yeah, that's it for pretty much 25 to 6
through 6.
Through 6 of our top 25 teams of the 2024 season. And next week we'll definitely or should I say on our Friday show, which will be our anniversary show we'll definitely go down and talk about the top 5 teams of the top 25 list that we have, and we'll also talk about week 0 of the college football season. It's upon us, so
it's here. It's here. Wow, man, that just warms my heart. I'm so happy.
I know. Just pat yourself. We made it. We made it, my brother. We made it.
Oh my goodness, we made it.
Oh man. So, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So yeah, definitely keep it locked on that episode. On top of any other news that may happen during the week. But yeah. Outros, Chris. Go ahead and let the good folks know where they can find you on social media.
Find me on X at Chris_Bolton_12 and on Instagram at Chris.Bolton_. Holla at me. Definitely gonna be, it's gonna be out here. I guess do we call it Xing? I'm gonna still say tweeting. But we'll be out here tweeting. Getting ready for the season. Tweeting about college football, fighting, boxing, wrestling. My tribal chief got whooped up on, but it's all right though. He will rise again.
He'll get back up. he'll get back. He'll get back up. I say the same. So. I said the same thing about Adesanya, but it is what it is.
But yes, get at your boy on both of those platforms.
Nice. All right, and for me, you can follow me on X as well, at Listen to KSW, all one handle. I'm on there talking wrestling. College football is back, so I'm on. Definitely be conversing through the world known as college football Twitter. So, but yeah, follow me on there. So yeah. All right. Well, until next time, y'all, we will talk to y'all later on. Peace.